It's absolutely fucking wild. Oh, shoot.
If you're drinking Americano, you're...
Wow.
Dude, instantly, right?
Look at that.
So easy. In the industry, this is what they call the money shot.
Fucking wild.
Hello, world. Today we're here with Jordan Syatt. We're going to be making some coffee. We're making an iced caramel Americano with sweet cream cold foam. Jordan.
Yeah.
You're freaking tall, dude.
Dude, so I'm way taller than most people realize. It's one of the things that when they first see me, oh shoot. I mean, no, but actually Alex is way taller and I'm way shorter than you'd expect. So that's why we've got this crazy discrepancy going on. Ready to make coffee?
Yeah, dude. So we're using the Breville Barista Express. It is probably the best espresso machine you can get if you're a beginner, if you already know how to make coffee, it doesn't matter. It's got so many great features. Not sponsored. I'm just sharing that I get a ton of questions about what coffee machine I recommend. It's this one right here. And Jordan, since you've never made espresso before, this is going to be a great starting point for you because it's pretty automatic.
Before we started recording, he was telling me, he was like, this is by far your favorite. You said you've had this for 6 years, 7 years?
I've had this since 2018, so 6 years, going on.
That's crazy.
Going on 7. So pretty much the sequence of making espresso. Got to grind the coffee, you got to tamp the coffee, which means you compress it, and then you pull the shot of espresso.
Cool.
So which pushes a bunch of really high pressurized water through that tightly compressed puck to pull out a beautiful shot of espresso.
I love it.
So you can kick it off easy. All you do here is put this is called a portafilter, portable filter. You push this right here till you hear one click, and it's gonna automatically give us enough grinds as we need. So next up, we're just gonna pull it out.
All right.
And then put your hand right over the top of it, and you're gonna kind of tap it down. Just kind of distribute it a little bit, solid.
Okay.
Then we're gonna take this here. This is a distributor.
Okay.
Just place it on top of the basket, and you're just gonna twist it a few times. Money.
Look at that.
Now we flip her over
All
on
right.
this side, which is called the tamp. You just put it right on top, push down, give it a couple of little twisties while you're pushing down. Yep, just like that.
All right.
And now your puck of espresso should be ready to go in the machine.
Let's go.
Cool. You just pop it right up in. All right, our espresso is ready to be pulled. Take this beautiful skull cup here. Now this is probably the easiest part of the whole thing.
Okay.
You just press that button.
All right. I don't know if I'm gonna make this happen.
Let's get the build up here. Like,
Put some music on.
yeah, like make like
Yeah.
like anxious. Oh God. Now a good shot of espresso should take 22 to 30 seconds to pull. I don't
Okay.
know if this is how this is going to turn out. 4, 5.
Is there a variance?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
so it's a little short.
Does that mean
it's
that
still
I
going to be
screwed
good? No, it just means that we probably didn't have quite enough espresso in there.
Okay.
It's quite enough grounds, which is my fault. But we're not perfectionists here. This is still
Okay.
going to be a damn good shot
Yeah,
of
so
espresso.
it'd be good, yeah.
All right, so now it's time to assemble the actual drink.
Okay.
So we'll pull out our cooler here.
I wish I waited to try the sweet cream for a shot on camera.
Oh, yeah,
because
it'll blow your mind the next time.
okay, yeah, it's absolutely fucking wild.
Okay, so let's
And I don't do sponsorships. This isn't sponsored, by the way. It's fucking wildly good.
take our first cup here. We're just gonna put some ice in the cup.
Invites me on your podcast, and now I'm just doing all this work.
Yeah, you didn't know you're coming to work today. He's actually making my coffee. I made his coffee already. He's making mine right now.
Is that good? Too much?
That's solid. And we'll just add some water. Probably go to about right here.
Is there a certain number of ounces you go
A little
for?
more. No, this is honestly, so when you're making an iced Americano, it's just
Yeah.
espresso and water. So it's really up to your palate.
Okay.
Less water, it's going to be more strong.
Yep.
More water, it's going to be more diluted.
Okay.
And do you know where the Americano was invented? Just
No
by
clue.
off chance?
No.
Dude, so it's crazy. So during World War II, when Americans were in Italy, like
Okay.
American soldiers, Italians, dude, they drink espresso straight.
Right.
Right? But it was too strong.
For the American.
Pissy ass Americans. So they watered it down. And that's where Americano
That's
came
so
from.
funny.
It's crazy, right?
It's like a wuss drink.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. So if you're drinking Americano, you're... I'm gonna go ahead and eyeball maybe like a tablespoon of sugar-free caramel syrup into there.
Oh, wow. Did you put that in that too?
Yeah, so once you get to the coffee, you'll taste the
All right, a
caramel.
tablespoon.
Approximately. Money.
Is there a reason you do one before the other, syrup before coffee, or does it matter?
Dude, again, I don't get like super snobby about coffee. You could say that you put the espresso in first, mix it with the syrup to get it mixed into the espresso.
Yep.
But
doesn't matter.
For me, I don't really care. But now we're gonna take the espresso and pour it on top of the water.
All right.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
So, sweet cream cold foam, more specifically. So easy, dude. Okay, so you can use this, which is already made sweet cream.
Okay.
Or you could use half and half in like a Splenda or some sugar-free vanilla syrup.
Okay.
All you do is pour maybe like 2 ounces into that cup.
Okay. Tell me when it's money.
It's money. That's good right there.
Okay.
Another thing about cold foam, if you're making it at home, there's something about the science behind it. If it's not extremely cold, it will not get like thick and frothy.
Oh, interesting.
I ran into that. That's how I learned, because it wasn't frothing up for me.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I took it directly out of the fridge and made it, it was like peaky and perfect.
Oh, way. Okay.
All you need is a hand frother.
Okay.
And you just hand froth it for like 10, 15 seconds.
Wow.
Dude, instantly, right?
Look at that.
So easy. Yeah, and that's solid right there.
That's great. All right.
Just throw that right on top of the drink.
That's a fucking
Isn't it so easy?
beautiful cup of coffee.
And that's probably like, that might be like 30 to 50 calories.
That's
in
crazy.
That sweet cream.
I'll put that.
And then this last thing we're gonna do here,
Okay.
in the industry, this is what they call the money shot.
What did he say?
So this is what hooks all my viewers into my page. So just take this,
Okay.
and you're just gonna do a splash and kind of do it towards the front of the cup here.
Okay.
And then this nice, you'll see, so as soon as you splash, a little more. Yep. And so that's perfect. And so that cascading
Dude,
of
that's
the cream
hooked
right
me
there,
on your page.
that's the money shot. For real, dude, that's the money shot. All right, cool. And that's it, dude. So on a scale of difficulty,
Yeah.
how hard was this drink to make? I mean, granted, it was your first time using an espresso machine.
Yeah. One being the easiest
One being the
thing
easy,
I've ever
10
done,
being,
10
like,
being outrageously
pretty
difficult.
difficult, yeah.
I'd put that at like a 1.5.
Really?
Yeah. It was very
1.5.
easy. I mean, I had an amazing teacher, but like
Yeah, that helps.
it was very easy.
But I mean, if someone were to watch this video and watch us do that,
It might
it
be
would be
a 2.5.
probably, yeah, still
maybe.
just as
Yeah,
easy, right?
just buy this and then you're good.
Dude.
Also, we should taste the sweet cream.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just let's. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
L'chaim. Fucking wild. This is like my 4th time drinking it. Oh my god.
It's so good,
It's
dude.
insane. It's 15 calories a tablespoon.
Yeah, per tablespoon.
Crazy.
And it's
I want a sponsorship with this company. That is amazing.
so good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, man, we have our coffee. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you.
I'm out. I'll see you later. Yeah, let's do it.
Damn, dude. Let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Tailgate Coffee Table. Today, I'm here with Jordan Syatt. Jordan, welcome to the Tailgate Coffee Table.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. This coffee is amazing. The crew you've got is amazing. The weather is amazing.
Oh,
you
dude.
can't really ask much more. This is great. Just
It's-
hopefully they don't kick us out of the park.
Oh, no. I think we've had some creepers, but I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
So, man, the Tailgate Coffee Table, for me, why I kind of created this setting is because I love to camp. I love coffee, and I love talking to people. And I feel like some of the deepest, most authentic conversations that I've probably ever had have been sitting in a camp chair or over a cup of coffee or just standing at the bed of my truck or standing outside of a car. And so this environment, man, it's like, I don't know what it is. It may sound kind of corny, but there's like some sort of magic that allows you to have just a vulnerable, deep conversation and get to know somebody a lot better than, I don't know, a networking event or some stupid shit like that.
You don't get to know people at network events at all. It's all like that stuff is like specifically done just to see how much you can leverage from other people. Like when you're in a situation like this where it's nature, it's just to connect. That's
Yeah.
what it's about. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, dude. And so if you guys don't know Jordan, I would be kind of surprised. He has been around pretty much as long as I have, right? When did you start doing content?
I started writing for my website in 2011.
Yeah.
So I started making website articles 2011. I got on Instagram in 2015.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah. So we've never met in person. We've been internet friends for years now, probably since 2018.
Yeah.
And I've kind of watched his journey as he's done multiple entrepreneurial adventures, as he's found his wife, as he's become a dad, and it's been a really cool journey to watch. I don't know if it's a notable accolade for you, but training Gary Vee, if maybe if you follow Gary Vee, you've probably seen Jordan at some point over the course of the last few years with Gary Vee's content. But Jordan, I just want to know who you are. Who's Jordan? I want to give the floor to you, and just tell me and anybody listening, who are you?
Let's see. I'm a short, bald, nerdy Jewish guy. I like to lift weights, and I like to do jujitsu, and I've got an amazing wife. We actually met in 6th grade. We were 12 years old. She moved to my town, and her and her stepsister moved to my town. And I remember, like, I was looking at my wife. I was 12. I was like, she's hot. And so I asked her out very soon after she moved to my town. And then we had a school field trip to, like, a rollerblading place or a roller skating place. And I love rollerblading. If you've seen I rollerblade all the time. So I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. We have a school field trip, rollerblading. She's going to love it. There's this place called Roller Kingdom. I think it was Marlborough, Massachusetts, and there's a guy there selling these light-up roses for $5. It's not like a real rose; it's like a light-up. And I was like 12, and so I was like, "Oh, girls love roses." So I get the light-up rose and I give it to my wife, and her stepsister laughs in my face as I give it to her, and I was devastated. But I was like, "Whatever, just gonna play it cool, nothing crazy." The next day, she breaks up with me. She's like, "Things are getting too serious too quickly."
12 years old.
Yeah. 12 years old, I was like, well, I'm never getting a girl rose again, ever. And we didn't talk for like 15 years, but then we reconnected. We've been together, so now we're married. We have a daughter. We have Bezrat Hashem, another daughter on the way this August.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, man. That's me.
Man, like I said, I've followed you for a long time, so it's been really cool to, when I messaged you about coming to do this video, I wanted to make sure that one of the things I said to you was just watching you step into the role as a father and a husband. It's very inspiring to me.
Thank you.
It's coming from somebody that grew up really without a father. Mine left when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And so seeing someone setting such a positive example on social media and just radiating positive energy and really just being someone to look up to, something that I admire a ton.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
How did you step into that role? What did anything change for you when you found out she was pregnant, that you knew you were going to have a daughter, also a daughter versus a son? Did that have any effects on you? And how has that journey been for you, going in from being single and unmarried to married and now a father?
Yeah, so it's funny. My whole life growing up, I always knew I wanted kids, but I didn't think I would get married. I thought I would adopt kids because my parents had an awful marriage. It was really, really bad. And I'm very close with my mom. I haven't spoken to my dad for like 10 years. Just not a good relationship. Wasn't a good father figure. And I love stand-up comedy. Like, I really enjoy stand-up comedy. It's one of my favorite things. And one of the reasons that a comic will be funny is because you always hear people say, "Oh, it's so true. It's so true." Because they're talking about things that are true in real life. And one of the things that comics always make fun of is marriage. And I was like, why would I ever want to get married if it's like clearly something that people don't enjoy and all of that? So I thought, I'm going to have kids, but I'm not going to get married. And then I got back with my now wife, and I was like, all right, she's definitely the one I want to marry. And so that changed just in terms of I just had a bad view of marriage based on what I was brought up with, not based on marriage being bad itself. And I realized that it's so much. We always talk about environment, who you surround yourself with. If you're brought up in an environment in which you have a really bad marriage or see a bad marriage, then of course you're going to think marriages are bad. But the more that I've invested into my marriage and other people who really invest into their marriages, the more I've really believed in it. And just because I believe in it doesn't mean it can't be difficult. There are very difficult aspects to it, like with anything worthwhile in life. But that for me was, I think, the biggest change, and I'm so glad that I made that change, that like I completely did a 180 on that one, because I wouldn't have the life that I have now. I wouldn't have my daughter and another one on the way. So I think the thing in terms of having a child, like we got to a point in which we were financially stable and we were ready to start trying. It wasn't like a surprise. So when we found out that she was pregnant, dude, I have pictures. Like, I was so excited. I knew before she knew. People like, how did she tell you? Like, I told her. I was like, you're pregnant. I can tell you're pregnant.
That's
and
awesome.
She was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And she actually took a test and it said negative. And I remember I said, that's wrong. You are pregnant. I guarantee it. And then a couple days later, she started to feel sick and she was going to take some medicine. And she was like, you know, before I take the medicine, let me just check.
Yeah.
She was pregnant. She took 3 and they were all positive. I was like, I fucking told you you're pregnant. And I was just so excited. I thought it was going to be a boy. Just like, you know, it's a 50-50 chance. It's either boy or girl.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a boy. So my whole, like, everything I know is boy. So I just assumed I'm going to have a boy. And when I found out it was a girl, it was immediate excitement and just like, also, I don't know because I don't have a boy, but like heart melting in a way that I don't think would have happened if it was a boy.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Sure.
But like, it's, for me, like having a girl, like everything changed immediately. Not just from when she was born, but from when I found out that it was a girl.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm obsessed with this girl. Like, I am just, the way that I explain it is, so I've never done mushrooms or anything. I have nothing against it,
Okay.
but people who I know have done it have said things like, oh, you see colors that you've never seen before, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or
Yeah.
not. When I had her, I've experienced emotions that I didn't know I had before. Like, any love I've experienced before it's not the same love. It's a different emotion. It's a different love. And so with her and people, now we have another one on the way, and, you know, Bizrat Hashem, everything will go well. But when people say, some parents have told me that they were nervous they wouldn't have as much love for their second child, you know, now you have to like sort of split it.
Yeah.
I have no question. Like, it's for me, like, I've always wanted to be a dad and I've always wanted a bunch of kids. It's just, the more love I can give, the better. And the more, I feel like the more kids I have, the more of this I'll experience. So it's just amazing.
That's really cool to hear. Especially you kind of, talking about maybe comparing it to like a psychedelic type of love,
which
or
I've never
feeling.
done. I can't speak from experience, but that's what the best way I can explain it.
I've done my fair share of substances.
Yeah.
And so I don't have children, so I won't even try to say that I understand what you're saying. But there is a certain feeling that you can feel when your mind is altered, that it gives me a better understanding of what it may be like for that different kind of love with your daughter.
That makes sense. You understand the analogy. You get it.
So that's very cool, man. That's very cool to hear. And I think that maybe that can set in for other people that don't have children, or that really want a boy. Yeah. And maybe that can.
It's funny. I was having this conversation yesterday. I don't fully understand why someone wants, like, I want a boy or I want a girl. I'm not saying it's wrong. I don't get it. It doesn't compute with me. It's like, I just want a healthy baby. Yeah. You know? It's like, I feel like it's easier to want what you are, just because, like, that's what you were brought up with, and you want to, like, it's funny. There was an amazing stand-up comedian I forget who said this, but it was to the effect of, like, we're so self-centered because when you have a child, you think the best parts of the child are the parts that resemble you. Where it's like,
probably not.
Where it's like, oh, look, you look exactly like me, or you do this exactly like me. It's like, we often want the child to be what we are. But for me, I think I'm very blessed in understanding that my child she's her own individual, separate from me entirely. So I've never really understood, like, the wanting of a boy or wanting of a girl. It's like, I guess if you had like 6 boys, then maybe you want a girl just to experience
6
it.
is a lot.
But for me, it's just, I just want a healthy, happy baby. That's really it. Do you want kids?
I feel like for me, because I did not grow up with a good example of a healthy relationship and a good example of masculinity or a father acting as a role model for how to be a man. Whether that's my own child or other young men and young boys, I would like to be able to provide that. And so I'm not sure if I want to have kids or not, but I do want to have that impact on young men and young boys, just because that's something that I was lacking, and I want to be able to give that back.
What is a hesitation in terms of having your own kids?
Maybe it's just timing.
Okay.
There will never be a perfect time, right?
Correct.
But I think that there are some goals or milestones where I want to be in life before I try.
Like financially.
Also with my relationship. Just making sure that we are a partnership, but also individuals at the same time. And having a very strong sense of self and a sense of identity.
Smart.
And so it's not me saying I don't want to have kids. It's just me saying that at this point.
And that's fair.
I think that I probably do one day. But there's some groundwork that I want to lay down before doing so.
I think that's really smart. Don't rush into it. Get as stable of a foundation as you possibly can with you and your partner and with everything before you bring that life into this world. Because it's going to set them up much better.
Dude, I think it's so important. And it's kind of, you touched on seeing in a child, like the best parts are like what we see of ourselves. But I feel like I don't have kids, but I feel like the best parts of that child are going to be the evolution of ourselves, not necessarily ourselves. But yeah, I think that just before approaching that, I definitely have some things to work through. Like I said, I grew up with a bit of a rough childhood without a father. And, so I definitely have some like traumatic stuff to work through. And, but one day for sure, I think that it's probably in the cards.
The good news is like you can use the things that happen to you as a driving force to give your own children or other children what you didn't have, and sort of go the opposite direction, which is really like what I've always wanted to do with my children. Like, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to wait until I was financially stable. Like, if my daughter is on the soccer team, I want to coach the soccer team. Or if there are parent-teacher meetings, like, I want to go to every parent-teacher meeting. It's not something that I want to be I want to know her teachers' names. I want to know what she's studying. I want to know what her favorite subject is. I want to know what position she's playing in sports. I want to know what role she's playing in the school play. Or like, it's like, I want to be outrageously present to the point where like, obviously there will be a point where she's like, Dad, get the fuck away. But like, I want to be super present. And I think I wouldn't have been able to do that if I started having kids before I was financially stable and emotionally stable with my relationship. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think it makes total sense what you're saying.
Oh man, and if there's anybody listening that is maybe a bit younger and not even, you're single and you're not even at that point of being in a relationship or even thinking about having children, I think that something you can take away from this last few minutes of conversation that Jordan and I have been having are that taking care of yourself and making sure that you have a strong sense of self-worth and self-identity are so important. And so if you're not even at that point of getting into a relationship or having kids, that's something that you can do now that will just set your future self up for a much more happy life, a much more fulfilled life. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of a relationship, whether that's romantic or not. Even a friendship, you're not going to be able to show up with love and attention and presence that that relationship deserves. So
I think being young it's the best time to focus on yourself.
It is.
Like, it's like, I don't know, and by young it's like, I don't know, anything.
What is young?
What is young? But I would say like anything under 30. And that's just like a general. There could be like leeway there, but anything under 30, like focusing on yourself. And like, some people might find stability before then, and some people might not find stability until after then. But that's like a general, like 30-ish. But like, focus on yourself, build what you need to build. Like, now I can take more responsibility and focus on my family. It was like, if I hadn't focused on myself, I wouldn't have been able to focus on my family now. Not as much.
So I've been kind of in a bit of a conundrum where I've been trying to speak to somebody that's younger
Yep.
that maybe feel like things are hard.
Yep.
Right. And saying to somebody, you're young, like you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
That can kind of feel not degrading, but it can feel like everyone tells me that.
Yeah.
And like, okay, I've heard it a million times.
Yep.
So I've been really trying to figure out a way to word that or share that with somebody that's younger.
Yep.
Without making it feel that way to them.
Yeah.
And helping them understand it a little bit more. Because I think for me, I didn't start really finding fulfillment and self-worth until I was about 28. And you meet kids that are 20, 21, 22 that are just like feeling like they're behind because they haven't made $1 million,
It's
because
wild.
they haven't, I don't know, whatever today's new standard of success is, because they haven't hit it yet.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to find a way to articulate that to somebody that's younger. Do you have any thoughts on how to better share that with somebody that's younger that may be listening?
Yeah, it's tough. I think kids now have it much more difficult than we did too, especially because of they're so into the TikTok and Instagram, and you see these outliers who are supposedly doing really well and making a lot of money, and you're like, why aren't I doing that? Actually, I have a kid who I do jiu-jitsu with. He's 23 or 24 now, and he was really struggling with this because his girlfriend broke up with him for an older dude who was making a lot more money, and he's like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like, bro, you're 23. Like, so I see this on a very real basis, and he's looking at social media and being like, I should be making more money because these other kids my age are doing it. I'm like, what you don't understand is, number one, even if some of those kids are making that much money, they're not the norm. They're an outlier. And number two is, like you were saying, like, you have so much time.
Yep.
So how do we get this across? Like, for me, the way that I teach is with a lot of analogies. Like, that's how I've learned best. And so really just like trying to use analogies as a way for people to understand, like, Gary says this a lot, where he's like, listen, you're at 25, like you're still in the pregame, like you haven't even, you're warming up for the game. The game hasn't even started yet. By the time you get to 40, it's like not even halftime. Like you're done like with the first quarter. And so like using that as an analogy to help them understand, but also for whatever it's worth, like I think that's part of the inherent struggle of being young, where not trying to take away that struggle, but making sure they know it's okay to feel that. When you try, I remember being 21 years old and I was interning at this guy's gym named Eric Cressy, amazing sports performance specialist. He's actually the head strength and conditioning coach for the New York Yankees. In his facilities, he has people from every Major League Baseball organization. And I came in and I always felt like I was behind. I was 21. And I always felt like I was behind in strength and conditioning, 21. And I remember expressing this concern, and he said, like, you've got so much time. But in my mind, I was like, no, I don't. So I feel like if rather than saying you've got so much time, something to the effect of, it's okay to feel like that, but don't let that feeling prevent you from doing what is right now. I almost feel like recognizing the emotion as, that's okay to feel that way. I'm not going to tell you how to feel or how to not feel. But what I am going to say is, what is the right action moving forward? Cool. You feel like you're behind. What should you be doing now? Does that mean you should be rushing into a relationship? Probably not. Does that mean you should be doing skeezy marketing sales tactics in order to try and make quick money? Probably not. What do you think is the right decision to make now, even with that emotion? So it's not take the emotion away. It's recognize it, make the emotion fine, but now let's look at your actions moving forward, and do they align with where you want to be when you're 25, when you're 30, when you're 35? I think that for me probably makes the most sense.
Thank you for sharing that. If you're someone that's in that age, if you're someone, fuck it, however old you are, if you are someone that feels like you're behind and you're struggling to, or you're just not doing, you're not where you're at, where you're supposed to be at, please just go back and listen to the last 4 or 5 minutes of what Jordan was saying. It was some amazing advice on being okay with where you're at and being intentional about where you want to be. It's perfect that you talked about some of your time interning, because I wanted to transition a little bit here. I don't know if a lot of people know your story about Westside Barbell, because I think it's fucking awesome.
Thanks, man.
And I would love if you could summarize it, you could share the in-depth version, but it's fucking cool. And so I just want you to share share the story of Westside Barbell and Jordan Syatt.
So,
and if you don't know, Westside Barbell, I'll let you say what Westside Barbell is,
Yeah.
but listen up so you have some context here.
Yeah, so Westside Barbell, we'll say when I was going to, it was the strongest gym in the world. Their weakest guy, their chump lifter squatted 800 pounds. That was like the weakest lifter that they had. And so what happened is I was in college and I hated it. I hated school.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah.
I think he's downplaying when he says strongest gym in the world. Like, these dudes are the most hardcore lifters.
Yes.
Like, when you think of a, like, grungy, huge dudes lifting till their noses bleed, slapping each other with chalk, huge chains around their neck. That's the gym that it is.
It's not a gym where you get like a card and you swipe in and they give you eucalyptus leaves in the sauna. It's like the only way you go to this gym is if you're invited.
Yeah.
It's a dungeon gym. There's no sign on the door. It doesn't say Westside. It's in an industrial park. The only way you know it's there is if you're invited there. It's these dudes who their entire life is lifting as much weight as they possibly can at any cost necessary. So it's often like, I remember Tony, there's so many stories I could tell. Tony Baloney was one of the guys there. He was like 330 pounds, just a fucking beast. And like I'll never forget this, he tore his ACL and the next day he was in the gym squatting. Like
Squatting?
torn ACL, squatting. These guys are crazy. And like, they're the guys that you definitely want on your side, if anything, because like they have the biggest hearts and they would care for you and help you, but they're the guys you don't want on your bad side.
Yeah.
Like some of them are dangerous dudes.
Yeah.
I had just spent a year living in Israel when I was 18, took a year off between high school and college. I didn't want to go to school. I came back and I hated school. I didn't like school. I was bad in school, but I loved lifting and I loved sports and athletics. And so I got stuck in this rabbit hole watching Louie Simmons, who's the owner and creator of Westside Barbell, watching his YouTube videos. And if anyone's ever watched his YouTube videos, like, it's mesmerizing. Like, he created this cult, not because he wanted to create a cult, but because, like, when you listen to him speak, it's hard not to fall in love with him and just be like, this guy is the smartest, most amazing guy in the world, talking about bands and chains and weight releasers and the conjugate periodization system. Like, I fell in love with him. And so I wrote him an email. I was 20, and I basically said, listen, I want to come intern with you. The reason I wrote this email is because he put out an article on his website saying, basically he was pissed. Someone said to him, Louie, you only train big dudes to get strong. Like, you couldn't train a light lifter. And so I'm 125 pounds at this time, and I love powerlifting. And so I wrote him an email. I was like, I'm a lightweight lifter. I would love to come learn from you and intern for you. I'll take the trash out. I'll clean the floors. I'll walk your dogs. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Just let me come and learn from you. And I don't hear anything. And at this point, I must have had my cell phone number in my email at the time, because I got a couple days later, I get a phone call while I'm at the dining hall. I went to University of Delaware, Penn Cater Dining Hall. I get a phone call. I ignore it on my flip phone. And I still have the voicemail, by the way. I'll play you the voicemail.
Okay.
I get a voicemail, and we're walking back to George Reed, which is our dorm that we're staying in, and I hear, Jordan, this is Louie Simmons from Westside Barbell, and I fucking lost it.
I bet.
Like, it's your biggest hero ever calling you on your fucking phone and like leaving you a voicemail. That's why I still have the voicemail on my phone. I skipped part of the story. I wrote the email. He replies and he says our weakest guy squats 800 pounds. What do you have to offer? That was the one reply he says to me. Now I'm like 20 or 21 at the time, and in my mind I was like, I have two options. Number one, I can be like very aggressive, or number two, I can be very polite. And my 21-year-old ego-driven mind goes super aggressive, and I say, I swear to God, I said, I don't give a fuck what you or your lifters do. I'll outwork every single one of you.
Yep.
That was it. Then I get the phone call a couple days later, and I missed it. And so we got on the phone the next day. He invites me out to Westside Barbell in Columbus, Ohio. My mom, this small little Jewish woman who knows nothing about weightlifting, nothing about powerlifting, nothing, she accompanies me to Westside Barbell.
Holy shit.
I don't give her the rundown on what it is. She thinks we're going to a gym.
Yeah.
Where I could be interning.
Right.
We're sitting in the parking lot at like 7:50 in the morning because 8 a.m. starts their first lift of the day. And we see these giants walking into this dungeon. And my mom is like, what is going on? Like, first she's like, there's no sign on the door. Are we at the right place? I was like, trust me, this is the right place. I've seen this parking lot in all of his YouTube videos. I know where we are. Seeing Shaq, seeing Tony Baloney, seeing AJ Roberts going into the fucking gym. My mom is starting to freak out a little bit. We go into Westside. It's Monday morning, so it's max effort lower body. Louie Simmons, shirtless, tattooed head to toe, blood dripping out of his nose all over his chest, walks over and he goes, "You must be Jordan." My mom immediately goes outside, and she sits in the car crying for the next 2 hours.
Oh, God.
And Louie, it's max effort lower. I was like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what do you want me to do? He goes, start with rack pulls from pin 3. I was like, okay, cool. How much weight? How many sets and reps? He says, do as many as possible until it hurts too much. I was like, okay. So I did that. And then I was like, what's next? And he says, close stance, SS bar, low box squats. Like the worst type of squat ever. I was like, cool. How much weight? How many sets and reps? Go as heavy as possible until it hurts too much. What's next? Glute ham raises as heavy as possible until it hurts too much, over and over and over for 2 days straight. So for max effort lower, then max effort upper on Wednesday. And by the end, I was like the most sore, the most bloody I've ever been. And that's not how he trains, but I said I would outwork all of them, so he wanted to see.
Right.
And at the end, he shook my hand. He said, "I'll see you over the summer." So I interned there for about three to 4 months. My total increased 300 pounds in that time frame. Louie, he passed away in the last year and a half or so, but he was like a father to me. He was like the nicest guy. He paid for every lunch, every dinner.
Wow.
He like let me take the Westside Barbell certification for free. I trained with him 2 times a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and 1 time a day, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So I was training with him 11 times a week.
Wow.
In between training sessions, he was taking me into his office and helping me study and read his books and ask him any questions. Like, this is my hero.
Wow.
And he's just like, I didn't have to pay for any of this. I wanted to stay, and a lot of the other, Brendan Lilly he's like, you should stay. AJ Roberts was, you should stay, and I wanted to stay. I also wanted to get Westside tattooed on my chest, but I didn't do that. And the only person who didn't want me to stay, he was Louie, and I was like really hurt by that. I was like, why don't you want me to stay? And he's like, listen. And again, Louie spent time in prison, tattooed head to toe. He was like, he said this. We had a heartfelt conversation. He goes, I'm not invited to speak at universities because of how I look and because of how I talk. He's like, I brought you here because I saw you're passionate and you're intelligent. He's like, I want you to go back to university, get your degree, and I want you to teach people the right way to train. That's why he brought me out there. That's why he spent so much time with me. He's like, I don't care about getting money from this. He's like, I just want you to teach people the right way to train. And so that's how I like got started in this industry, with like the greatest person in the world, the most incredible mentor, and that I think shapes not only my lifting but also my mentality in terms of how I give to others and what I want to be for other people.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Is obviously probably one of the most memorable experiences of your life, and I was just curious what kind of impact that had on your outlook on life and the values that you hold yourself to, because it sounds like there's a lot more that meets the eye when it comes to Louie, and Westside in general. And so it was really insightful to hear that, the way he took you under his wing, and wanted you to leave to go on to quote unquote bigger and better things, and probably affect more people than you would having stayed at Westside. So what kind of effect did that have on your outlook on life, and then maybe some of the values that you hold? I can imagine it played some role in that.
So I think there's a lot, but I think one of the main ones that comes from a business perspective, man, I got to tell you, when I see a lot of these fucking mastermind gurus talking about like maximizing money and like high ticket coaching bullshit and just like never give anything away for free, it makes me sick. People gatekeeping their information as though you didn't learn it from someone else. Like it's actually nauseating, and that's the parts of the industry that I actively try and fight against. Bless you, brother. So for me, having experienced some of the greatest coaching in the world from one of the best coaches of all time, the godfather of strength and conditioning in the United States, I have nothing against making money and having a business. I love capitalism, and I think that being able to provide for your family and have a business is incredible. But I think the best way to build a meaningful business and have an impact is to start by giving away things for free. And I found that actually creates a much more sustainable business, and one that you really enjoy. I found anytime I've focused on making money, my anxiety goes up, and my disdain for things increases. Whereas when I focus on just helping people, taking them under my wing, giving away things for free, I enjoy life more, I enjoy my business more, and better things tend to happen.
Yeah.
And I think Louie is really the first one to instill that within me, because so many people before him and after him have just been all about make more money at any cost necessary, do stupid partnerships, or it's okay to lie, with like all these mental gymnastics, and it's like, no, it's not. You know, you and I were talking before we started recording about how many people we've seen come and go in this industry. I think the main one is the people who have the most staying power are the ones who really enjoy it, and you're really going to enjoy it when you're helping people and having an impact.
Absolutely.
When you're getting these messages from people saying, this changed my life, thank you so much. They're like, how can you not want to stay in this?
Yeah.
But when your sole goal is make more money so that you can show off to people, it's like, that is not going to fulfill you. It's going to lead you to do some really shady things, and it's not going to work out well in the long run.
I 100% agree. I mean, for me personally, I had never planned to be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
When I started my whole social media account, I had just got medically separated from the military.
Oh, wow.
So not by I plan to do 20 years. That was my plan, to stay in commission and finish out 20 years in the Air Force.
Yep.
And long story short, have really fucked up hips. Basically, real severe early arthritis at the age of 22. Had an intense hip surgery where they quite literally, I don't know if you're familiar with anatomy, but there's a piece of bone on the outside of your hip called the greater trochanter.
Yep.
It's like a little piece that sticks out.
Yep.
So they cut that piece off, opened me up, and totally dislocated the hip out of the socket.
Jeez.
Took a little chisel and tried to shave off all these little impingements and bone spurs that were on the head of the femur and on the socket.
Yep.
And put it back together, screwed the greater trochanter back in. Gave me 6 months of recovery, and it was military grade physical therapy, fucking garbage. Then they deemed me non-deployable, and so they medically separated me. But the absolute best thing that could have ever happened to me. In the moment, I was 23. I thought the world was ending.
Yep.
But I was pretty much able to medically retire at the age of 23.
Yeah.
And I went to school for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have benefits now, being a veteran.
Yep.
A ton of benefits that serve me. I'm just so thankful for. I mean, I went through a bunch of bullshit to get them, but yeah, very, very thankful for. So got out of the military. Got a part-time job so I could go to school, and Starbucks offered a really, really solid pay with really flexible hours. So if you're a student, it's like a great job to have, right? Yeah. Wasn't super into fitness. I was eating like shit, drinking all the time, like drinking like 600 calorie coffees every single day, right? And then just one day I got into fitness a bit, and I started bringing my protein powder to work and making protein shakes in the blender at work. And I started posting it in, you'll probably get a kick out of this. There's a Facebook group called IIFYM.
Oh, I know that
If
group.
It Fits Your Macros Facebook page. And this is 2017.
Okay.
So I posted to post in there, and someone's like, oh, you should post this on Instagram. Posted on Instagram, and it took about 2 months before it started to blow up.
Really?
Yeah. And by the end of 2017, I was at 100,000 already. I started.
Wait, was this one post, or you're just posting every day?
Pretty much. I don't really know what the cadence was, but started in June of 2017. By January of 2018, I had 100,000 followers.
That's crazy.
It just blew up insanely fast.
Yeah.
But
were you losing your mind? Were you like, holy shit, this is crazy?
Yeah. It was very crazy. Like getting the notifications.
Yeah.
Now they're off, obviously. But just having them go crazy every time I would post, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like all my coworkers would make fun of me, like, oh, you're just taking pictures and doing all this blah blah blah. And I was just like, whatever, guys. And
they're just jealous.
all going to say that I started posting because it was helping me with my fitness journey. Yeah. And I thought that maybe it could help other people, and turns out it could. Yeah. Who would have thought that healthy coffee is a novel concept? But it just wasn't. Like, social media was still on the come up, still exploding. And so I'm very blessed to be like the first, quote unquote, first person to start posting that kind of content. Yeah. I did it because I wanted to just share value with people. Unintentionally, the after effects of it were to get me where I am now. Yeah. And it's evolved a ton since I very first started. But I really like to attribute the growth and success on social media to just doing it to help people.
That's it.
And I didn't work with any companies or do anything at all for 4 years, because there's a lot of influencers or content creators that do it for the money.
Correct.
Every post is a paid post or a sponsored thing or hashtag ad, and it's just sickening.
Yeah.
And it's like clearly, very clear to everybody that you're not doing this to help people anymore.
Correct.
It's for yourself to make money.
Yes.
And it's a very selfish thing. And so I think that the longevity piece, because, you know, remaining relevant for more than 3 or 4 years on social media is a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you do it by continuing to give out free value.
Yes.
Even if you do a quote unquote brand deal, that brand deal to me should be so aligned and so on brand with what you already post that it doesn't feel like a sponsored post.
Correct.
To your followers.
Agreed.
That they are getting a ton of, if they bought that product because they saw it on your video, you can go to sleep and be like, that's making their life better.
If there's any question, I'll say this: if you're gonna do a brand deal with a product that you haven't used, that's a big fucking problem.
Big red flag.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
So it's a big issue. Yeah, and I think it's tough for especially the younger generation. They've come up seeing the hashtag ads and all this stuff, and I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember when people first started using the affiliate codes, like their name 20 for 20% off, whatever it is. I remember this first started happening, and I remember hearing someone say that they wanted to get big enough on social media where they could have their own discount code. It blew me away. It was like, that's your goal? Like,
that's wild.
You want to get big enough so that then you can have a discount? Like, I didn't realize that was something that people looked up to.
Yeah.
Most of my life, I haven't had a big social media audience. Like, majority of it.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, having a big social media audience does not make you happier.
Not at all.
At all.
In fact, it can make you much unhappier.
Yeah.
If you don't treat it correctly.
I think, so my ultimate goal from a business perspective is get to a point where I can have a flip phone again.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate goal, where I don't have to post on social media. Like, and I still want to help people. I want to open up a gym that's completely free, where people in my neighborhood can come and work out.
Yeah.
And if people still want to work online, that's fine. I just don't want to I don't want to post on social media anymore.
Yeah.
It's just at a point where I've done it for so long where I'm like, I'm just sort of tired of it. So if one day I'm just gone, you can just assume I've got a flip phone.
Yeah.
And I'm off. Like, I swear there's a glorification of followers in social media that is incredibly dangerous.
It is. So when I meet new people in Austin, first of all, I hate when someone, the first thing they ask me is, what do you do? Especially hate if somebody brings up money in the first fucking 5 minutes of a conversation. Then I'm out.
Yeah.
I dip.
100%. Yeah.
But I don't tell people what I do.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't let them know about my channels.
Yes.
Because it shifts a perspective of how somebody treats you.
It does.
Which is ridiculous.
I hate it.
The first time I went to California in 2020, I went to LA to visit some friends. We went out to this like shopping center. I went into a Lululemon. First time I've been in a Lululemon store. We walk in, looking around. Worker comes up to me, goes, "Are you the macro barista?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Get whatever you want." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was mind blown. That was before I'd done brand deals. That was still me, just like innocent little me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? But then now I notice that someone will treat me differently.
Yes.
If they know that I have a lot of followers.
Yes.
And that's sick, dude. I don't want to be your friend if that's the way that you're going to treat somebody based off of their clout or whatever. Dude, so I try to avoid.
Smart.
Until later down the road, if I make a friendship with them, then I'll bring it up later. Yeah. Where I know that it's not going to have any difference. Right. We built a genuine friendship based off who we are. Exactly.
The worst is when like you're in a new group of people and one of them doesn't know who you are, and they're just not being nice to you, they're not paying attention to you. Someone else brings up, do you know what, and then all of a sudden on a dime that person shifts and like you can see the wheels turning and like, oh my god, that to me is the worst. Like,
oh god, dude. It's happened too many times. So just be real. If there's any advice about social media, dude, just be real.
Yeah.
It's
funny. I mean, think about this. Like, you and I know each other from social media, which is great. But in order to have a better relationship, we hang out in person.
Exactly.
Like, that shows, like, social media has a utility, and it's amazing. It's done so many great things. I think it's a net positive. But whoever is sitting next to you, pay attention to them.
Right.
Put your fucking phone down. Pay attention to the person next to you. Pay attention to the people who are in the same room as you. That's who matters.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like from the first like minute that you meet somebody.
Yeah.
It can be weird, being internet friends with somebody for a long time and then never having met them.
Yeah.
Or just knowing somebody from the internet and then meeting them in person. It can go one of two ways. It can be like you instantly know, okay, this person's chill, they're down to earth, like it's cool. Or you're like, oh, this person's
full of shit.
Full of shit. They're like what the negative connotation of an influencer is.
Yes.
And but instantly, dude, as soon as you pulled up in your truck, I was like, I had already fucking known because I texted him earlier. I was like, bro, this is casual. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Like, don't worry. He's like, oh, fuck, let me take off my tux. I was like, all right, this is my kind of dude.
It's so bad when you meet someone from online and, like, they're totally different than how they are online. That's really disappointing.
It is super disappointing, man. So I wanted to ask you just one more thing. We get this question a lot when we're kids, when we're adolescents, teenagers, and not really when we're adults so much. My question is, who do you want to be when you grow up? Take it how you want.
Yeah.
Like, answer it how you want. But it's just a question that, like, I don't think there should be any pressure on it, especially as a teenager. It's like, where are you going to go to college? What are you going to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
That's why I say it is, who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some actor. It can be whatever it may be. So I'd just be curious to hear your response to that question.
Zadie. And Zadie is it's a Yiddish word for grandfather.
Okay.
I just want to be Zadie. Like,
okay.
I remember when I was in 6th grade, I'll never forget this. My mom was dropping my brother and I off at school. And she goes, just so you know, and I know I'm early, but when you have kids, I'm Nana. Like, I'm not grandma, I'm not Grammy, like, I'm calling dibs on Nana. And we make fun of her all the time now. It's like, you called that when we were 12, but now my daughter calls her Nana. And it's like, I've never seen my mom happier than when her granddaughter calls her Nana.
Yeah.
And for me, the way that I think about it is, like, I think ultimate success as a parent is when your kids want to hang out with you when they're adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally it.
So can you say the word one more time?
Zadie. Yeah. That's what I would call my dad's dad before he passed. Zadie. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
What do you want to be?
Oh, man. Who I want to be...
Or who do you want to be? Sorry.
So, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut. So I joined the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
Get closer to the moon. But as I grow older... man, fuck it.
Now that's when you know you're about to say something good, when you say fuck it.
This is not a religious take at all.
It could be if you want.
But it's not. It's I met this guy 2 years ago who he's like 50s, in his 50s, kind of a mentor to me now. And I'm not really religious per se. I actually grew up Mormon.
Okay.
So that kind of stunted my decision to want to be in a part of religion.
Yep.
Anyways, I met this guy. The whole reason we met was to talk about coffee. He was opening a coffee shop, and he ended up being a devout Christian, and he shared, basically bore his like testimony to me, right? And he said, Alex, I don't know if you're religious, I don't know if you believe in Jesus, but Jesus was a real person, right?
Correct.
And according to the story, he lived his life loving other people and giving himself to others. And he said, that's how I want to live. And that, ever since that moment, that really stuck with me. And so it's not a religious response when I say, like, I want to like be like Jesus. Yeah. I already have the hair.
And the sandals.
And the freaking sandals, dude. But there's really no timeline on it either. Who I want to be is just someone who is a positive light in the world to other people. I want to make other people feel loved and heard and seen. And I just want to take care of other people and be just be an overall good human being, no matter who you are, where you come from. I just want just want to love everybody, and that could be like a hippie response, a
No.
religious response, or whatever. But
I mean, the good news is you're already doing it.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reason why I started doing this YouTube series, is because I've been a quote unquote solopreneur for so long.
Yeah.
I've only made content with myself, by myself, for myself for so long.
Yeah.
But I've had the opportunity to talk to so many amazing people on the internet, and I want to meet these people in real life.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude. And so that's who I want to be. I want to be someone who just loves unconditionally everybody.
I love that.
And man, thank you for asking it back, by the way.
Yeah,
I
dude.
appreciate you reciprocating that. But man, Jordan, this has been an awesome conversation. Seriously.
Agreed. I'm glad we did this.
Really glad I got to know you on a deeper level, and just hang out with you for a short amount of time. Teach you how to make some espresso.
Dude, I appreciate. I'm gonna get that machine. I'm gonna get some
of the sweet cream.
Yeah.
So, where for all the people that are watching or listening,
Yeah.
where can they find you at on social media or whatever?
Don't even find me. Just keep following this guy. That's it. Don't even find me. If you really want to, I'm sure you can. But just, I think this podcast would be a good one to watch.
I'll have all this stuff in the show notes and everything. But Jordan, man, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to just hang out.
I appreciate
Really
you, brother.
appreciate it.
Thank you. You're a wonderful man, and I'm excited to continue this friendship. So thank you.
I appreciate that, and thank you for hanging out at my tailgate coffee table. Maybe one day we can run it back.
Let's do it.
Cool, man. Thanks.